One young woman said to me that she's only 25. She said she has to be taken to hospital and knocked out for these few days every month. Her doctor said, when you go through menopause, you'll be all right. 25-year-old woman? That's 25 more years of suffering. And the doctors just acknowledged that it is the high estrogen that is feeding these little pockets. What I'm going to show you today is how you can turn that around. It is the baby boomers that were first given the pill. The baby boomers are now going through menopause. How are they faring? Not well. What's happening? They're getting hot flushes, too much estrogen. You see, estrogen is a capillary dilator, causes all the blood to rush to the skin, and the woman feels hot, and the husband knows it because all the bedclothes get thrown off. 10 minutes later, they get all pulled back on again. Causing massive cell growth so that the woman, and you wouldn't believe how many women I meet between the age of 40 and 60 who have got too much weight on the torso, and they tell me, I cannot shift this weight. It's impossible to shift that weight while estrogen levels are high. So this is another contributing factor in the weight gain we are seeing in Australia today, especially in the women. As a cell or capillary dilator, estrogen in some women causes migraines at period time. It's also causing depression because of a lack of happy hormone. The woman has lost her desire for sex. And when she does have sex, it is very painful. And it's very, very sad that her husband's secretary is looking better all the time. That's a tragic situation. So she goes to the doctor. She says, I'm having hot flushes every 10 minutes. I can't bear it. I can't function. So he gives her hormone replacement therapy. Hormone replacement therapy. What is this? More synthetic hormones. It tricks the body again into thinking it's pregnant. So it stops causing the capillaries to dilate to the skin, puts all of its energies into the uterus and the breast. 6 years later, the woman finds she has a lump on her breast. She goes to the doctor, he takes her off HRT immediately. Why? He knows. He knows it causes breast cancer. And if you talk to the doctor and you say, why do you do it if you know it causes it? His answer is this. He said she was suffering and it brought her relief. That is true. And he said not every woman will get breast cancer, and that also is true. I feel sorry for the doctor because they're the only alternatives they have. What is HRT? More synthetic hormones causing more disruption in the hormonal balance of a woman. But some women say to me, I have all these symptoms and I have never been on the pill, and neither was my mother. There is more. What causes a chicken to be fully developed in 5 weeks? It's a little bit scary, isn't it? This explains our 6'2" sons coming out of 5'2" mothers and 5'8" fathers. Where did that come from? And about young girls developing very large breasts when there's none of that in the family. When I was a little girl, we had chicken once a year, and we used to get it from the farm. When I was 15 years of age, Kentucky Fried Chicken came to the nearest town. When Kentucky Fried Chicken came, that's really when Aussies started to eat chicken regularly. Chicken today, it's illegal to give them growth stimulants. So how they've got around that, there's a couple of ways. It can be in the pellets, the chicken pellets that they're eating. They have also been able to genetically modify the chicken so it produces more estrogen. Whatever way, they grow too big too quickly. And the human being that eats it is going to be getting some of that estrogen. If it's in the chicken, it's in the egg. What about meat? It's against the law for Australian cattle farmers to give their cattle growth stimulants. But we had a cattle farmer's wife do our program, and she confirmed to me, she said, once a fortnight they knock on our door. Recently we had a young girl who worked in the meat industry, and she said it used to be you stop the growth stimulants 5 months before market and it wasn't picked up in the blood test. She said today it's 5 days. If they stop it 5 days before, it's not picked up in the blood test. So basically, if it's in the meat, whether it be chicken or red meat, it's in the product. What about fish? Well, when you've got 80% of women on the pill or HRT going to the toilet, the sewage goes out to sea, the fish are feeding on the sewage, they're finding female fish with male tendencies, male fish with female tendencies. Lentils are sounding more attractive all the time, aren't they? What about the girl that said, but I've never been on the pill, either of my mother, and I'm a vegetarian? There's more. Plastics. Plastic contains something, many plastics today contain something called nonylphenol. Estrogen has a phenyl ring, and that phenyl ring is the key that unlocks the door into the estrogen receptor site on the cell. So plastics that contain nonylphenol or bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is what is found lining most tins, and the nonylphenol is what makes plastic soft. So when these phenols are in the plastics and the human being eats things that have been touching the plastic or heated in the plastic or been in the plastic for a while, can you see they're getting those estrogen mimickers? Dr. Anna Zotto, she's an American endocrinologist. She was growing she was growing cancerous breast tissue in flasks. And whenever she injected it with estrogen, it would grow. She'd stop injecting it with estrogen and it would stop growing. One day she came in and all night it had grown and she had not given it any estrogen. She was puzzled by this. So she asked the people who were providing the flasks, she said, have you changed the flask? They said, yes, we're now getting a flask that has nonylphenol in it. It's a lot softer. So the nonylphenol in that flask was feeding the cancerous breast tissue. I think it's impossible to get away from plastics. It's handy stuff, but be very mindful of food's exposure to it. You can get some plastics that don't have nonylphenol, those hard plastics don't. If you have a kettle, get a glass kettle or a stainless steel. Just be mindful of the dangers. And babies, the plastic nappies, the disposable nappies. You can get nappies in the supermarket called Natty, and they are made out of starch. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think you'll agree with me, worth every cent. If we think we've got a hormonal problem now, you wait till these children grow up with their plastic disposable nappies and chewing on plastic rattles in plastic bottles with altered cow's milk heated in microwaves. A bit scary, isn't it? That's why education is important. That's why if you know someone has a baby, buy them 2 packets of Natty nappies, all made out of starch, can be put in the compost bin, can even be put in the fire. Buy them a stainless steel milk bottle. You can get glass, or you can actually get some phenol-free plastic bottles now. Herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, and chemicals. All of these can break down to metabolites that mimic estrogen. You see this little list, it explains the hormonal balance that's really exploding on the planet today. What I want to show you is the different estrogens. So these are 3 cells, and these are 3 estrogen receptor sites on the cell. This one is a xenoestrogen. And these chemical estrogens are often called xenoestrogens. And they are 20,000 times stronger than human estrogen. So how big are they? They're huge. What about human estrogen? It's about this big into the receptor site. And human estrogen is 20,000 times stronger than plant estrogen, or often called phytoestrogen. And it's a little slip of a thing that just slips into the cell like that. So these xenoestrogens are literally 400,000 times stronger than the plant estrogens. Where do you find the plant estrogens? Red clover, soy products. Let me show you the soy. This is the soybean grown in America today. It's called Ready Roundup. Do you know why it's called Ready Roundup? Because it has been genetically modified to resist Roundup. And one farmer told me 5 times before market it's sprayed with Roundup. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doses of Roundup, as well as a genetically modified soybean. That is a dangerous soybean. That soybean will increase breast cancer, will increase prostate cancer. But it's a pity to throw all soybeans out, because if you can buy an organically grown, non-GMO soybean, it's probably got the most anti-cancer properties of any food on the planet. So make sure you buy soy that is organically grown, non-GMO. So how can we turn this around? If you don't turn the tap off, you're still going to be mopping up in the other corner. So number 1, eliminate. Stop the pill. Stop HRT. How can we stop having babies popping up everywhere? Well, sex is 2 parts, so contraception should be 2 parts. And a woman's role, I believe, is to determine when she is ovulating, and it's obviously when she's menstruating. Ovulation isn't as easy, but her body will give her 3 signs. One sign is that her temperature changes. It can be as simple as her taking her temperature every morning before she gets out of bed, and she will find that her temperature will go like this, then drop and go up onto a higher plane. So this drop and up to a higher plane is her indicator that she has begun to ovulate, and it'll happen anywhere from day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, even 15. So it'll be somewhere around there, but it will allow her to identify the starting point. So that's one sign. The second sign is that the cervix changes. And it can be as simple as her testing that cervix every day and just writing it on a chart. The third sign is the vaginal mucus changes. When the progesterone level's high, it's very clear and stringy compared to what it normally is. So those 3 signs can come together to tell her when she is safe and when she is not safe. The husband's role is to wear a condom or master the art of withdrawal in this time that she is unsafe, which will probably be around that time there. So that's how the pill can be eliminated. HRT. When this is implemented, this list that I'm giving you now, I have seen many get off hormone replacement therapy. Eliminate meat and its products, if you like, meat and its products. It really should be organic. At Misty Mountain Health Retreat, we show you how to make lentils taste fantastic. Plastics. I think it's impossible to eliminate plastics, handy stuff, but as much as you possibly can, greatly reduce them. And you can buy plastic bags made out of starch. The more people that want the plastic bags made out of starch, the more there will be. My daughter lives in Tasmania. And Tasmania has declared themselves to be a plastic bag free state. Did you know that? So when you go shopping, you have to take your own bag. Herbicides, insecticides, pesticides really should be eliminated. As much as possible, go organic. Start growing your own. Get the chemicals out of your home. Throw all the chemicals out and bring the vinegars and the sodium bicarb and the microfiber cloths in. And gumption. Are you familiar with gumption? It's sodium bicarbonate paste. Great cleaner. That's all we use at our health retreat. So that's turning the tap off. Number 2, your liver is designed to eliminate excess estrogen. And it does it down one of 2 pathways. One is the hydroxy 2 pathway, and the other one is the hydroxy 16 pathway. When it goes down the hydroxy 2 pathway, it's literally taken out. When it comes down the hydroxy 16 pathway, it comes back in 100 times more toxic. So we don't want that one. We want this pathway. So what I'm going to do now is give you a list of foods, vitamins, herbs that encourage highway 2 and discourage highway, we'll call it highway 16. Cabbage family. The cabbage family contain indoles. These are a plant chemical that stimulate highway 2 and discourage highway 16. Vitamin B6, B9 and B12. These 3 vitamins stimulate highway 2 and discourage highway 16. Licorice, if you have high blood pressure, don't take the licorice. I'm referring to the herb. There is a tea you can buy and it's called Blackadder. And this tea contains licorice, peppermint and aniseed. It's quite a delicious tea. It can be as simple as having 1 or 2 cups of those teas a day. And flaxseed. Flaxseed contains lignans, and lignans encourage highway 2 and discourage highway 16. So number 1's turning the tap off. Number 2 is stimulating the liver to eliminate excess estrogen. And number 3 is an Australian cream called the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream is a cream that contains diosgenin. And this diosgenin, when it is applied to the skin and taken up by the fat cells, it stimulates this pathway in your body that your body uses to make its own progesterone. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream does not contain progesterone. What it does is this diosgenin stimulates the pathway that your body uses to make its own progesterone. And by stimulating the production of progesterone, you automatically balance the estrogen, testosterone, adrenal hormones, whether you be man or woman. Progesterone's the hormone that ideally should be stimulated.